Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the MylesHighClubPodcast. I am your host, Miles. This is episode number 63. And before we move anywhere, go get you some Olympus Fitness merch. OlympusFitness.com. That's www.olympvsfitness.com for the best sporting gear you can find. I haven't been sponsored by ads yet. That's just a plug for a really dope fitness brand. Again, wear it to the gym, wear it casual, wear it whenever you like, men's and women's. How's everyone doing today? We are recording on the day the podcast is supposed to come out because I couldn't be bothered yesterday. It's December the 16th. We are less than 10 days away from Christmas. I hope you have all got your Christmas shopping done. I think I've only got like one item to buy, and it's chocolate. I didn't want to buy it early because I probably would have eaten it and then had to go back out and buy more chocolate. But hey ho, first world struggles. What are you going to do? Hope everyone is well. Everyone should be. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you're in the Christmassy mood or the holiday mood. Right, in the UK, do we have to say happy holidays? Only because I know in America there's such a mixture of cultures and religions. I understand why they say happy holiday over there, because you've got Christmas for the Christians, you've got Kwanzaa for black people somewhere. Don't know which black people, but there's that. You've also got Hanukkah for the Jewish people. You've also got Thanksgiving, which is that's a holiday in America for Americans. So I see why they say it. In the UK, do we have to say happy holidays, or can I just stick with Merry Christmas? And if you're not someone that supports Christmas, I'll just be like, well, have a great December. How about that? Have a great December and a fantastic new year. I am debating whether next week is going to be my last show of the year, or if I do one Christmas week. All depends if I can be bothered to do one Christmas week. I don't know how busy I'm going to be Christmas week, but I'm also officially done with work for the year. That's right. I save up all my holiday because I don't go anywhere in the year. We haven't been able to go anywhere in the year, so I literally saved up all my holiday. I've had Thursday and Friday off, including this week and the past 3 or 4 weeks, and then I've got next week and the week after that off as well. So I don't have to think about work anymore. It is now fully relaxed. I'm in 100% holiday mode, Christmas mode, whatever the mode of this time of year is called. I am in that mode. And that takes me perfectly to my very first story. You know who's not going to be in the Christmas holiday mode? A good old racial abuser. Let me name this. Nearly swore. Let me name her Shauna Walker. I'm not going to call her a bitch because I'm sure the last time we spoke about this, I let the word bitch fly about 15,000 times. And even though she acted like one, I'm going to take the higher ground. So anyone that doesn't remember who Shauna Walker is, Shauna Walker is the racist white lady that went viral for going off on a racist rant against a black doorman in Birmingham because she wasn't allowed she either wasn't allowed back into the pub or she wasn't allowed into the pub because she was too drunk and the way she was acting. And then she went on to, what did she call him? Was it a nigger bastard? It stuck with me that much, that it was just two random words that she just grabbed and threw together. Nigger bastard, Jesus Christ. But yeah, so let's start off. She has been jailed for 14 weeks at a magistrate's court. She admitted racially aggravated assault and criminal damage, and she has now been jailed for 14 weeks. Not much more to say on this, but she will be spending her time in jail. So yeah, there's full on. Hold on. There you go. Look, there we go. There's her mugshot. Let me try and, for anyone listening, you're not going to be able to see this fucking ring light. There you go. There it is. There's the mugshot of her. Enjoy your 14 weeks in jail. I wonder if she'll actually serve 14 weeks. That's the few questions I have about this. The only reason it's a topic is a few questions I have about this. In short, she got told, I'm sending you to prison for 14 weeks. I have reduced your sentence because of your plea. So because she admitted that she was guilty, she's only got 14 weeks, whereas she would have spent, what's that, 3 months? Yeah, 3 months. She would have spent possibly longer around that as well. So, I'm not even going to repeat the things that she called him, but she called him a lot of things. For someone that's not racist, you had them in the tuck. Question 1, do we think she will serve the full 14 weeks in jail? So she's been put in custody, 14 weeks in jail. As soon as those 14 weeks in, she'll be out. Do we think she'll stay in there for that full time? Probably. I don't think she'll be out before Christmas. That's what, 2 weeks? That's taking the piss. Just a little bit that is taking the piss. Will she serve the full 14? I don't know, because she wasn't, like, in custody and then stayed in, so she's not going to get time served. I don't know if she'll get released after, like, 10 weeks for good behaviour. It's 14 weeks, just, you're going to have to woman up and take that on the chin, because that's on you, and hopefully you don't get put in a cell with anyone black. Or anyone that's white and rides for black people. But there we go. Do you think she's going to say do you think she'll stay in there for the full 14 weeks? Question 2, which was brought up to me by a friend when I posted the news article on my Instagram stories. Do you think 14 weeks is enough? That's the question. Is 14 weeks enough for what she did? So again, do we have to take into consideration she was drunk? I don't think so. But she was drunk. There's a few quotes here. She got to the door, she smashed the glass and the hinges. She stood near the door shouting, "You fucking nigger," and "black cunt," and then stepped towards Mr. Price. When Mr. Price tried to walk back inside, Mrs. Walker slammed the door into him. And then, yeah, she did. And then Mr. Price came back outside the door and Miss Walker spat at Mr. Price. So it landed on his hands and feet. That don't care. She spat at him, and then she shoved the door and hit him in the shoulder again. Yo, I'm just trying to think. 14 weeks, is that enough? I feel like if I went somewhere and started berating someone, slammed a door into them which broke glass and the hinges, then spat at them, then hit them with the door again, I feel like I might get slightly more than 14 weeks. I'm just saying all I'm saying is I feel like that's what I'm going to get. Now, on one hand, I don't know this girl. So missing Christmas and New Year's, that might be a big enough punishment in itself. But then you've still got another 2.5 months to sit in jail after that. So she'll be out just in time for Valentine's Day, maybe. Is it? In one hand, I'm like, 14 weeks isn't enough, because if that was flipped and I did it to someone, not take race out of it and taking sex out of it, I'm just saying, if I was to berate someone, well, she racially berated someone. So if I was to racially berate someone and then break glass and a hinge from fucking up the door, then try and spit at them, then assault them with the door, because that's what they would have called it. That's what they called it. You hit someone with a door, you're just thinking, I ain't hitting with a door. Nope, that's assault. And if you cut them or made them bleed in some sort of way, I'm sure that can be put down as grievous bodily harm. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know these things. But yeah, one half of me is like, 14 weeks isn't enough. She needs more. I'm not a sentencer. I don't know what you give these people. 6 months to a year, maybe? Let her really sit down and think about all the shit that she's done and the effect that it had and how she made herself look. And then option B is like, 14 weeks might not be enough, but let's remember she is missing Christmas. Like, she's spending Christmas inside. And she is spending New Year, like she's out. So I'm assuming she's a partier. So I'm assuming there's a chance she would have been out Christmas Eve, might have gone out Christmas Day, possibly been out Boxing Day and New Year's Eve, and family time and friends. So, it's one of them ones. It's like a bittersweet. I think the sweetness is she's been jailed. The bitterness is it's only 14 weeks, but then there's a bit more sweetness in there with it being she's missing Christmas. And she's missing Boxing Day. So there's that. Unlucky Shauna. I'm surprised she even got put in jail, to be fair. I thought they might have just swept it under the brush and saw what happened. Moving on to the next. I've got a few, I think they're controversial. I've got a few controversial topics. The first controversial topic is New Zealand introduces a lifetime ban on smoking for future generations. How you implement that, I don't know. But here you go. So under a new legislation, residents of New Zealand currently aged 14 and under will never be allowed to legally purchase tobacco in a bid to outlaw the habit by 2025. Associate Associate Health Minister said on Thursday that we want to make sure young people never start smoking. This is a historic day for our people. I don't know what the laws and what the legal ages are over in New Zealand at the minute. But yeah, if you're 14, anyone that is 14 and under, you will no longer be able... Let's just assume they couldn't buy tobacco till 18. It'll be 18 or 21. I'm going to read through this now. I read through it before, but I don't remember them saying what the legal age to currently smoke in New Zealand is now. They may have a problem. They generally may have a problem over there with young people smoking. I see young people smoking everywhere. Like, people smoked in school back when I was in school. I think I went through maybe like a 2-day, 3-day binge when I became a smoker. I literally just started, the people I was with, I used to just take a cigarette off them and then smoke the cigarette. I don't even know if I used to take it back then. Like, I used to just... That lasted 2-3 days. And then I gave up on it. I also went for an international stint where whenever we went Iron Appa 3 years in a row, and we went Malia the year after that. For some strange reason, when I was abroad, I would just smoke a cigarette. I wouldn't chain smoke. I wouldn't buy my own pack. But if my friend lit up a cigarette and we were abroad in the club, I was like, save me twos, or just give me a whole cigarette and I'll smoke that. Who knows? I couldn't tell you the last time. Whenever I was last in Napa or Malia, that would have been the last time I ever smoked a cigarette. I don't know why. I don't know why I used to do that, but there you go. But yes, the new legislation means the legal smoking age will increase every year to create a smoke-free generation of New Zealanders, Associate Health Minister said. That's clever. So every year the smoking age will increase. So I'm assuming whenever these 15-year-olds, for example, hit 18, the legal smoking age will be 18. As soon as it then changes to 19, the legal smoking age will be 19. My issue is, when does that change? Because if it changes year by year, when this new year starts, if I'm currently 18 years old and at the start of the year it changes to you have to be 19 and my birthday's not for another 11 months, that's fucked. Or will they do it by the school year? Again, you're probably thinking, Miles, you've got the story in front of you. Not reading the whole entire story. We want to make sure young people never start smoking, so we will make it an offence to sell or supply smoked tobacco products to the new chort of youth. People aged 14, when the law comes into effect, will never be able to legally purchase tobacco. I wonder what that's going to do. Because when you tell people they can't do something, they tend to want to do it even more. And again, it all depends who they're hanging around with. I know people that used to smoke when we were in school and before the legal smoking age. And they used to get cigarettes off their parents. Like, they used to go to the shop with their parents, order cigarettes. Their parents would just let them take a cigarette out their box. Listen, each their own. I'm not going to teach you how to parent your kid. I'm just saying. And what about weed? I don't know if weed is legal in New Zealand. So does that mean... Because it says tobacco. They specifically say tobacco. They don't just say smoke. Well, no. It does say to ban smoking for the next generation. But they keep talking about, under today, it will never be legal to buy tobacco. What about weed? What happens when they legalise weed? If they legalise weed, I don't know what the weed is like over in New Zealand, but if they were to legalise weed in New Zealand, does that mean you could smoke weed, but you wouldn't be able to top it up with baccy? Again, Americans don't do that. Some places in Europe don't do that. In the UK, it's a common thing to just, a little bit of baccy. Not that I would know or anything. So I've heard in rap videos and those dangerous games out there that these kids like to play. Me, I'm a law-abiding citizen, in case any officers are watching this, or snitches, either one. New Zealand once again leads the world, this time with a cutting-edge smoke-free 2025 implementation plan. It's truly a game changer. Tobacco should have been banned God knows how long ago. This is, again, back to the story of why don't people trust the government? At one point in history, not only was tobacco something that was endorsed, it was endorsed as a good, healthy, beneficial product, and it was also endorsed by doctors. So there were adverts of doctors telling you to smoke. There were doctors on the packs of cigarette smoking. Again, now we realise the tobacco industry was funding the pharmaceutical industry, so the pharmaceutical industry were backing them. But then there were just too many deaths, nicotine, tar, whatever else is in there, which now everyone's like, it's horrible. A few years ago in the UK, you used to be able to buy 10 cigarettes, a pack of 10 or a pack of 20. They then they got rid of the 10. They got rid of the 10 pack, apparently to try and stop people smoking. I think people just went and brought 20 packs instead, and then ended up smoking even more because they had more cigarettes on them. Some people went over to vaping. I know a lot of people that vape, and I think 100% of people I spoke to that vape tell me that they vape more than they used to smoke. And again, it's because of how easy it is. Depending on where you are, you can do it inside sometimes. So there's that. So get in the comments, let me know what you think. New Zealand to ban smoking for the next generation in a bid to outlaw smoking by 2025. That is... I just realised we're going into 2022. That's like a 3-year plan. That is not far away in the slightest. What other controversial topics did I have? Here's another one. Right. Is this topic... I don't know if this topic will be classed as controversial or if it's more so what actually happened to make it controversial. So let me try and get the story up, because at the minute it's not working. As you can tell, this is me trying to filter it. So while I'm looking for it, a waitress was fired after a generous $2,200 tip turns sour. You're probably sitting there thinking, hold on, what? Say that again, Miles? Yes, a waitress was fired after a generous $2,200 tip turned sour. Now, when I first heard this story, in my head, I assumed some rich person gave someone a tip of £2,200, and then something happened between like the waiter or waitress and the people eating, and maybe they wanted their tip back. Maybe they gave too much of a tip and didn't realize. Maybe like a husband tipped and the wife was like, yeah, the fuck are you giving that much for? Or vice versa. Who knows? But that is not what happened in the slightest. So a dinner party. So in America, there was a dinner party of real estate executives, and they actually gave the waitress a $4,400 tip. And what had happened was, one waitress was serving them first off to start with. That waitress then had to go home. Someone else took over. So at the end of the meal, I'm not reading the story because I sort of remember the story in my head. I'll go back through it if I need to. By the end of the meal, someone who was part of this dining group stood up and had basically said, yo, for the service today, we've actually gone around this whole table and we've got everyone to donate a $100 tip. Furthermore, we've actually contacted some other people who couldn't make it here today, and we've got them to give a $100 tip as well. So we're giving you a $4,400 tip to split between you and the previous waitress that was serving them. That was serving them. What's the place called? A server at Oven and Tap. There you go. It's a server at Oven and Tap. So the generous customers were 44 real estate executives from around the country who were meeting for a conference that night, and each decided to pitch in $100 for the service. And then this is what he said: everybody at this table has contributed $100 for you and the other waitress. So we are tipping a total of $4,400 for you to split with the other girl who took care of us. So at first, Miss Brandit told her table that the manager was requiring her to split the money with the rest of the restaurant staff. I was to give my cash over to the shift manager to be taken, and then I was going to be taking home 20%. That wasn't what Mr. Wise had in hand, so he complained to the restaurant and got his money back. Then he left the restaurant and gave Miss Brandt her tip outside, away from her bosses. This guy is a G. Miss Brandt, she finally got her tip, but she was fired. So now, listen, you know the people that are paying, they did everything. They went above and beyond. So not only did they get great service, they went above and beyond. In America, it's not mandatory to tip, but it is customary. It's like it's something that everyone is just assumed to do. I think in America, a good tip or a standard tip is 20%. It's 15 or 20%. One of them things like that. They've all pitched in $100. And they specifically said, this is for you and to split with the other waitress. Now, further in the story, where the issue... And then she must have gotten the tip and then got told by the manager, yo, give it to him. He's going to split it up between everyone here. You'll be taking home 20%. She went back and told the people at the table, thank you so much for your tip. Obviously, I can't keep it all. I'm being told I have to do such and such. The guy who gave the tip was like, no. This was not a tip for the whole restaurant. The whole restaurant didn't serve me. This is a tip for you and for that person. The two people that served us, we want to give you the money. Being pissed, he was like, no, fuck that then. Give me my tip back. So we took the tip back, waited for them to finish the meal, went outside, caught her outside and said, bam, here you go. Here's your tip. Her manager must have found out somewhere and she got fired for it. Now, the reason... Let me see if I can find it. The reason why they said he was fired for it is because, hold on. They said they always pooled its tips. So the restaurant says whenever someone tips, they always pool the tip. I've seen it in some place. I think Nando's either does it or used to do it, where if you get a tip, you basically don't keep any of that money. You put it into some communal jar and then it gets used at the end of the year for like a restaurant party or whatever it goes in, which I'm not mad at. So Oven and Tap doesn't deliver terminations lightly, the restaurant said. Because we value our employees and highly respect their privacy, we never discuss personal issues. The server who was terminated several days after the group dined with us was not let go because she chose to keep the tip money. I think that's a lie. The restaurant said it had always pooled its tips, even though Miss Brandt said she had never been asked to do this before our night. Again, the restaurant said, our policy has always been to participate in a tip pool share with staff. Tip sharing is a common restaurant industry practice that we follow to ensure all of our team members are adequately compensated for their hard work. No, I don't care what your rules are. I don't care what goes on in the restaurant industry. If I'm tipping for the service. Now, if the food's amazing, I might say, yo, make sure the chef gets some of this or send the chef my praises. But no, I'm serving the person that sat me down, brought my food over to me, made sure everything was okay. You pay, the tip is for the service, and that's exactly what it is. Now, if I specifically say this tip is for you and the other person, I don't want you to then go and share that money. Now, if the woman that if I tip you and you say, thank you so much for this, I appreciate it, I want to personally share it with the rest of the restaurant, then that's on you. I'd give you the tip. Once I give you the tip, that's your money. But for someone to come and take that money off you and tell you to share it with other people, no. I'm not tipping other people. And again, I understand. So they want to say, hold on. They want to make sure all of our team members are adequately compensated for their hard work. What about if someone working that day isn't working hard? What about if someone isn't serving with a smile, isn't checking up on customers, isn't being friendly? Like, if you came in and had a bad day and you're doing shit, why the fuck should you get some of this tip money for the hard work I did with my customers and you've been getting complaints all evening? No, that is not how it works. So the person that did this actually put up a post on Twitter. So the guy that donated the money, I'm so saddened to hear that the girl we tipped the other night at our $100 dinner club has been fired from her job. I don't fully understand why this would happen to what seems like such a sweet and kind-hearted woman. Nonetheless, I'm committed to show her that there are great people in the world and they will do when they can. I've started a GoFundMe page to help her raise money to cover her expenses for the next couple of months to help her get through the holidays with the least possible amount of stress so she can focus getting back on her feet. Good news is she did actually get a job. Yeah, on Wednesday, Mr. Wise wrote on the GoFundMe that Miss Brandt had found a new job at another restaurant. So that is all good news. Again, I worked at Nando's for 3 weeks and I worked in the kitchen, so I never had the opportunity to get a tip. If I understand, listen, if I join a restaurant and you say, yo, if you get a tip, we pool share, all tips are being pool shared, and you tell me why we're doing that, yeah, someone gives me a £5-10 tip, yeah, I'm doing that. If a table, listen, if someone says to me, this is for you, I want you to keep this tip. If I then say thank you very much and they watch me go and donate it, or they ask me what I do with it, or if they say do you have to share it, if I say to them you have to share it, if they say no, this is for you. I understand you like have a policy, but I'm giving this to you. I don't want it to be part of your policy. This is your money. Then she should keep that money. Even though I don't agree with this, what happened to the customer is always right. If the customer gives me, and then You know what I think? You know why I think she got fired? I think she got fired for telling those people she had to give her tip up. That's the main reason. I think if she'd given that tip and the guy... I think if she'd given that tip and the shift manager had said, do this, and she hadn't said anything and the money was split up, she'd have took 20% home and she would have still had that job. I think because she let the people know, yo, thank you so much for that, blah, I've been told I got to share it. And then that person then was like, oh, that's not what we had planned for it. Give me my money back. And then gave her. I feel like that's why the restaurant did it. The restaurant manager did it, personally. He's a piece of shit. Imagine firing someone so close to Christmas. So close to Christmas. Because someone had given them a $2,200 tip. And the worst thing is, this woman, hold on a minute. I don't think she was having... I don't think she was having money issues. But she said something, hold on a minute. Yeah, it was devastating, the former waitress said, adding without her job, she has no way to pay her debts. I borrowed a significant amount of money for student loans. Most of them were turned off for the COVID year and a half, and they are turning back on 1st of January. That's a reality I'm facing. She'd have got dropped with 2,000 grand and was like, whew. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, someone. Thank you, man, that gave me this. Thank you very much. I don't know if you knew that this was happening to me. But my debts are coming right back in January, and this is going to go directly to them. Now I don't have to skimp out on Christmas. Listen, that story shows you that some people in this world are pieces of shit, and other people in this world are just good people. They are just good people out here in the world. Let me have a quick sip of this before we move on. Ooh. Again, the last three topics, again, I feel are all controversial. Don't know which one to start with. Let's start with this one. So, 3D printed suicide pods are now legal in Switzerland. That was a lot of information in one sentence. 3D printed suicide pods are now legal in Switzerland. Whew. So, these machines, Sarco, I think they're called Sarco machines, 3D printed capsules designed for use in assisted suicide have passed a legal review and can now operate in Switzerland. While the Swiss assisted dying sector's approach requires the ingestion of liquid sodium pentobarbital, Sarco can provide a peaceful death without using controlled substances, they said. The benefit for the person who uses it is they don't have to get any permission, they don't need some special doctor to try and get a needle in, and they don't need to get difficult drugs to obtain. Oh, where do you... I don't think I've ever really considered assisted suicide. I don't think, like, I've not as in, well, one, I've never considered it myself, but I've never, what I meant to say is I've never thought about assisted suicide, like the process. I'm not suicidal. I'm just trying to tell you that I've never thought about the ethics. There we go. I've never thought about the ethics of assisted suicide before. One, it never happens in England. Two, you rarely hear stories about it. I think I knew Switzerland was the place to go if you wanted to do that, but that was probably all I knew about it. Now, how do you even talk about this topic? Like, what do I... First of all, okay, here we go. I don't agree or disagree with these pods. My issue would be, before people can, because it says you don't need a doctor or anything like that to use the pods, you can just use them. Will people go under some sort of some psych evaluation, mental evaluation, something that basically goes through everything before saying, okay, this person they're making the right decision for them, and this is what's going to happen. Because, for example, here are my two examples. Sorry if I come across offensive. I don't mean to. This is the way I talk, and these are the two examples. So the one example I have of suicide is someone that wants to take their life because of current life situations. Maybe it's failed love. Maybe their family's left them. Maybe they've lost their family, lost their job. Maybe they're in debt. Maybe they're a serial. Maybe they killed a bunch of people and they want to take that. There's all sorts of these suicide things. Those people, anyone that falls into that category, anyone suffering with a mental health issue, I think that's politically correct. those people, I don't think this suicide pod is aimed at those people. I could be wrong. I don't think it's aimed at those people, and nor do I believe those people should be allowed to use the pods. Again, I don't know what's more selfish, wanting to take your life or wanting to prevent someone from controlling their own life and ending it. Oh, this podcast got dark and there's no one around for me to talk to, so it's just going to be me on this topic. So yeah, those people, I don't believe, one, I don't think that this pod is made for them. Two, I don't think this pod would be attractive to them. Again, if you're in England or you're anywhere around the world, if you're feeling suicidal, I'm not going to use the methods, but you'll probably just go for one of those methods. Because I feel like, again, I don't know, I've never been suicidal, but I feel like with some people, some suicidal people will dwell on it all the time, and there's something that happens that's that final snap to make them say, fuck it. I think there are other people out there who do suicidal attempts for the attention. Both of those categories, I don't believe that this suicide pod's for them. Now, people that are terminally ill, people that are suffering with something that has them in constant pain and constant agony, and they don't have what we would call a normal way of life. If they're in their right, again, I don't know how much of your right mind and body you could be in, but I feel like one, it's for them, and if they want to make that decision, then they can make that decision. Like, here you go. What don't I have? So I don't have a nan. I don't have one single living nan. So I will say a nan. If I had a nan that was suffering with something and there's no medicine, there's no drugs, there's nothing you can do to relieve this pain, all doctors can do is slow down the inevitable death that's going to come from whatever they're going through. If this person's like, yo, I don't want to have to be in this much pain and agony for another month, for another 6 months, for another how many years, I just want to end it now. Like, if they know, look, there's no way of reversing this, it's not going to get better, it's only going to get worse, I'm in pain, you guys are in pain, seeing me in pain, I'm in more pain, watching you guys see me in pain, like, there's a whole thing about it. I can understand why those people may want to get involved in this. Apparently, the capsule will flood the interior with nitrogen and reduce the oxygen to help people die. Compared to other methods, the Sarco machine offers death without using controlled substances. The capsule should be ready for use in Switzerland in 2022, which, that sounds quick. Like, it's quick. How it works, the capsule is activated from the inside and can be towed to a location that the person wishes to die in, such as an outdoor setting or the premises of an assisted suicide organisation. Once activated, the capsule floods its interior with nitrogen and rapidly reduces oxygen, causing the person to lose consciousness and ultimately die without choking or panicking, he continued. This is going to sound insensitive. I don't mean it. Because they're filling it with I just said the word. Because they're filling it with nitrogen. Is nitrogen not the same thing that people use when they're huffing on balloons and when they get put to sleep? You know, don't worry. Don't even worry about where I was going to go with that. This is growth from me. Let's just move on from that. The chair of the Regional Euthanasia Review Committee said the vast majority of euthanasia cases in the Netherlands concerned elderly people who were suffering from a serious illness such as cancer, different things like that. I didn't even know Netherlands, you were allowed to do assisted suicide. So yeah, there we go. Do I think, first of all, I have no issues with them creating this. I have no issues with assisted suicide. The idea of someone legally, the fact that, like, so, right, is suicide illegal? This is what I don't get. No, it's assisted. Assisted suicide is illegal. Okay, never mind. So assisted suicide in these countries is illegal, which means if I was in hospital and I was said to a doctor, yo, just kill me, and they gave me the drugs to help me along that path, they would probably get arrested for murder, manslaughter, something along that, lose their job, lose their license, lose all of that. So I don't have an issue with assisted living. Assisted suicide. These suicide pods are basically another form of assisted suicide. It's just in a pod. There's no doctor required. There's no drugs required. You're just pumped full of nitrogen so you can peacefully doze off, and then you pass away, and it's done. It's just done like that. My only issue around that would be, one, the people that want to have the assisted suicide. How do you make sure that it's the right thing for that person? Like I said, if someone is going through something in life and it gets bad, like you see it all the time, there are the amount of dad stories I see in America and around the world of dads that lose a custody battle, so they just kill themselves. And in some horrible cases, the dad loses a custody battle, so they take the kids, kill the kids, then kill themselves. Sometimes they'll kill the whole family, then kill themselves. Like there are so many different situations that drive people to think, I want to commit suicide. Like suicide by police, that's another one. People commit these heinous crimes, and then they deliberately get themselves shot and killed by police because they can't do it themselves, but they want to die. Like if you want to die and you don't want to do it yourself, depending on what country you're in, getting the police to kill you, it's a pretty easy thing to do. You just run at them with a weapon and they will put you down, especially if you look like me. So yeah, I just need to know what's the process from I want to go into these I want to go on one of these suicide pods. What's the process to make sure is this 100% your decision? 2, are you 100% sure you're comfortable in this decision? And 3, are we 100% sure that you're fit to make said decision? This is why I'm not a scientist, and it's also why I am not in ethics or anything like that, because I would hate to have that conversation with people. But again, like I said, people going through people that are terminally ill, going through something, they know they're at death's door, they're in pain, in agony, and nothing's helping. It's just prolonging this. I can see why that may be a thing. And on to the last 2 controversial topics. One of them's not even controversial. It was controversial. Now it's just funny. But it's the same thing that happens when something funny... I shouldn't say it's funny. To me, it was funny. But when something like this happens, like when these gossipy scandals happen, I'm always like, look at this. And then someone somewhere is like, it's a distraction. They're distracting you from something. And then you're just like, will you not ruin this for me, please? Like, it's a shit situation that I have found light in at the end of the tunnel. And you've now just blocked off that light. The first one was Matt Hancock. Matt Hancock cheating on his wife. I was like, fucking hell. He's cheating on his wife. He's breaking social distancing. He's lipsing people down at work. That was all. People were like, it's a distraction. They're distracting you from what happened. I think that was the COVID passports, actually. I'm sure this happened around the time they were introducing or talking about the COVID vaccine passports or whatever it was. Blah, 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 blah. So that's that. Now you've got the Christmas party. So there were 2 videos that came out last week. There's now, I don't know if, let me turn this down so it doesn't come blaring out of my phone. I don't know if it's a video or if it's just a picture. Oh, it's a picture. Okay. Hold on a sec. Here we go. So I can show you guys again. Close. So here it is. There is a picture of I was going to say our, because it's not mine. There's a picture of your Prime Minister hosting a Christmas quiz. So that came out, a picture of holding a Christmas quiz, and then another picture came out. I think it was a Tory party that was celebrating on December 14th of them all, literally all huddled together for a picture. Basically the whole government, the Tories, the Labour, whoever it was, everyone was breaking social distancing rules while half of the country, or while most of the country in their tiers, especially London. London was in tier 3. So while London were being told households can't mix, social gathering was around in the whole of the UK, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, these Tories were all doing it. Like I think they've said in December, I think like from the end of November to the end of December last year, I think they said there's been around 7. There's been around 7 parties that were all breaking social distancing rules, that all broke the household mixing rules. They all broke everything. People are coming out saying, I'm sorry. People are resigning. Like, don't tell me a party didn't happen and then resign for being accused of going to a party, because that makes no sense. You wouldn't resign if you were innocent. Like, if someone accused me of something and I knew I didn't do it, I ain't backing down. Eventually, the truth's going to come out. Now, if I knew I did something and I wanted it to go away, then yeah, let me just step down and back away from all of this. So again, more and more pictures have been coming out and all this. And while all this is going on, I'm seeing a few people say, it's a distraction. It's a distraction. They're here to distract us. Now, there are two lines I'm going to go down. The two distraction lines that I've heard. So the one distraction I've heard is apparently, allegedly, according to the report, only 56% of the world is vaccinated, and they want it to be, 75 to 8% of the world needs to be vaccinated. So the one thing I've heard is this Omicron variant came out of nowhere. It's way more powerful. It's way more transmissible than the Delta variant. It's kicking the Delta variant's ass as long as other people's in it. So Omicron variant drops. They then say, this new variant's here. The jab, we don't know if the vaccine's going to help you against it, but get the booster either way, which is a weird thing. Omicron drops. It's worse than the Delta variant. We don't know how well the vaccines are going to do against it. With that being said, get yourself vaccinated. If you're already vaccinated, get your boosters. We don't know if it's going to help or not, but we need to get these numbers up. So do all that. So people are thinking, while they're trying to raise the vaccination routes to stop people questioning so much of why would I get a vaccine, why would I get a booster if you don't even know if it's going to work, these Christmas pictures dropped. Because Dominic Cummings, basically Borris's old right-hand man who's been shitting on him for the past few years, he came out at the end of last week and was like, there are pictures, and I guarantee those pictures will drop at some point. And he was right. The other thing I've seen more of is people saying that all this Christmas party stuff, it probably did happen, but the reason why they're saying it's coming out now and why they're saying it's a distraction is because the UK passes the Nationality and Borders Bill. I don't know too much about this. I tried to read up on it, but I get confused all the time. But basically, the government plans to strip people of their British citizenship without warning under the Nationality and Borders Bill, which apparently has been criticised. So, according to what is this though? This is iNews. Don't know who they are. So according to them, the bill, which seeks to curb English Channel crossings and change how asylum claims are processed, was subject to just 9 minutes of debate on Wednesday after it went through. So what is the bill? Ministers say the new legislation aims to make the asylum system fairer to protect those in genuine need, deter illegal entry to the UK, and remove asylum seekers who have no legal right to be here. It includes clauses to allow the UK to be able to send asylum seekers to a safe third country and to submit claims at a designated place determined by the Secretary of State. Why is it controversial? Plans to strip people of British citizenship were condemned as uncivilised and legally disputable earlier in the week by former Tory Minister David Davis. Oh, look at the Tories trying to do something constructive. Under existing law... Oh, you know what? Hold on a minute. The bill does not change the circumstances, but enables citizenship to be removed without notice if it would not be reasonably practical, is in the interest of national security, and in the interest of the relationship between the United Kingdom and another country, among other reasons. So the big reason why I saw this kick off is I saw a lot of people coming out saying, is it Shara Begum? Everyone, the ISIS bride. You remember the ISIS bride? She was from Bradford or some place up north. She then went to Syria to become an ISIS bride and then realised that the life wasn't that glamorous and wanted to come back to Britain. But Britain were like, no, you went to the ops and wanted to be over there and they don't like us and they've been trying to kill us. Because you've done that, we are removing your British citizenship. A lot of people were like, yeah, more power, fucking take it off her, fucking don't let her back in the country. Other people were like, yeah, maybe don't let her back in the country, but don't strip her, or we shouldn't be praising her getting her rights stripped, because that's just opening the door to this. So, what this means is, I don't know how far back they can go. For example, I was born in the UK, my mum was born in the UK, so I believe we're fine. Granddad was born in Jamaica. So, my understanding of this is, if my granddad was to do something that... was not if It can be removed if it's not reasonably practical. Practicable? What is practicable? Not to be reasonably practicable. I don't know what that means, so I can't comment on it. In the interest of national security. So basically, I feel like anyone out there that's a terrorist, so anyone this is what they're saying. Anyone out there who's a terrorist, causing terror, or is a threat to our national security in any way, we can just strip you of your citizenship and kick you out of the country. And if it interferes, or if it's in the interest of the relationship between the United Kingdom and another country. So, if the UK and, I don't know, the UK and a country, if they've got a really good alliance, and maybe someone having a British citizenship will affect that alliance, they can then strip that person and say, you're no longer a British citizen because we want to be best friends with Russia or China or someone in Asia or Africa, any country at all like that. As you can tell, like I said, I don't know much about this guy. I've been trying to read up on it, and there's the facts and the facts and what it is. It's very confusing, which is why that's why politics works, because no one wants to get involved in politics because it's so fucking confusing. Officials believe the bill gives the potential to allow for offshore processing centres to be set up overseas, similar to the policies that are used in Australia. The bill also gives Border Force officers powers to turn away migrants away from the UK while at sea, and makes it a criminal offence to knowingly arrive in the UK without permission. Again, don't brag and boast about how good or how great your country is when a third world country that's been ripped apart by war, like if your country's been ripped apart and devastated by war and you need to get out and you're like, I don't know where to go, I'm going to go to the UK because it's the easiest country to get to. You wouldn't expect to then be stopped and say, go back. It's like human rights, just being human. You'd at least want someone to bring you in and say, look, where have you come from? Why are you over here? Okay, you can stay here for now. Let's try sort something out. And let's see whether or not we can find a place for you here. Or maybe there's another country somewhere. So, for example, who's going through it now? Zimbabwe? Mozambique? One of these countries. Someone's going through it. Syria. Let's just use Syria. Let's say some Syrian refugees want to escape Syria and they come to the UK. We can say, look, the part in Syria you're from is war-torn. Correct, so we can't send you back there. What about other parts of Syria? Now, if other parts of Syria, if the whole country is basically in war, then yeah, we can't send them there. Okay, what about local countries? What about the surrounding countries of Syria? Is there a chance that you could go there? I don't know how these things work, but it just sounds completely fucked. And that's why it's just... That's literally how I reacted to some of these topics. Like, the racist girl gets 14 weeks jail time. Deserves you right. New Zealand introduces a lifetime ban on smoking for future generations. I mean, smoking's bad for you, so... Waitress was fired after a generous $2,000 tip turns sour, and then the wait... Okay, that one. That didn't make me go, but, I was like, yo, as the waitress, I would have done that. Miles, you need to put this into the pool, into the chip sharing. But he gave it to me, so it's just a lot of the things. It's just a lot of the things on there. Now, if you've made it this far into the podcast, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. We are now moving on to What's on the Box, the weekly segment where I talk about what new TV shows and movies I have watched in the past week. I don't know where to start. So let me get the short one out of the way first. Spoilers from this point onwards. Hawkeye episode 5. It wasn't an action-packed one. It was very much like WandaVision's episode 8. Where it was the penultimate one. There was a lot of talking and a lot of pieces being set, but there's two very important things that happened in Hawkeye episode 5. One, we found out, or at least we're led to assume now, that Ronan killed Echo's dad because the big boss wanted his dad out the way. So the big boss told Kazi to set him up, or he told Kazi to tell Ronan or somehow get some information out to the Ronan as to where they would be to take them out. Because in this episode, Hawkeye basically says, yo, I was told by him, someone basically snitched and told me where your dad was going to be, okay? Someone wanted him dead. Don't know who. Could have been the big boss. She's like, no, don't believe you. She then bumps into Kazi later on, and she's like, yo, why weren't you with my dad? And he's like, what? He's like, the day of the meeting, you're the second in charge, you're his right-hand man. Why weren't you at the meeting? Kazi's like, I don't know. I didn't get the call. And she's like, that's suspicious. So I think by next episode, I think Echo's going to realise that Kazi is the one who told Ronin where their secret base was for Ronin to go out and kill them. And then I think she's going to work out that Kazi was under instructions from the big boss. And that, actually no, yeah, from the big boss. There's 3 things. The second thing we found out is that it was Eleanor, Kate Bishop's mom, that hired the Black Widow assassin. So we now know Eleanor contacted Val from the end of Black Widow and in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, contacted Val to hire Yelena to kill Clint Barton. Why? Maybe because he was getting too close into discovering who the big boss was. He was poking around stuff he should have been poking around. Her daughter's involved. Who knows why she did it, but she did it. Kate found out. And the last one. Oh, not only did we finally get it confirmed. Well, it wasn't confirmed because I never said his name, but it's been confirmed. We saw the picture. The big boss, the big bad of this series is Kingpin. And even more exciting, it's the Netflix Kingpin. It's the Kingpin played by Vincent D'Onofrio, I believe, who played the Kingpin in Netflix. He has been brought over into the MCU to reprise his role as Kingpin. Wilson Fisk. And now there's only 1 episode left. Episode 6, I believe, is the last episode in the series. I don't know if we're getting a series 2. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, this better be an hour and a half. Please be an hour and a half. Give me a mini movie. At least an hour. Give me, because they've all been like 35 to 45 minutes roughly. Give me a solid 1 hour for the 6th episode to find out what's going to happen. It's going to come to blows. Kate's going to fight. Well, Kate now knows that Eleanor tried to get Hawkeye killed. Hawkeye knows that the Black Widow assassin after him is Yelena, who was hired by her. He also knows that Yelena's now in cahoots with the big boss, which is Kingpin. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. And Spider-Man No Way. Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home in the UK was released Wednesday, the 15th of December. I went and watched it Wednesday, the 15th of December, and I am glad. Look, next week I'm doing like my top 5 movies, my top 5 movies, my worst 5 movies, my top 5 shows, my worst 5 shows, and all that, where I will try and go into this into more detail. I'm going to be kind because I understand that it's Thursday. It's only been out for 1 day. Depending on when you watch this podcast, you might be a Marvel fan that just hasn't had time to go and watch Spider-Man Far From Home. So I'm going to try not to do a massive deep dive into it. But let me tell you now, spoilers. If you haven't watched Spider-Man Far From Home, turn off the podcast now. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it on your social media pages, drop me a comment about any of those previous controversial topics. Let me know your thoughts. But from this point onwards, we are going to talk about Marvel Far From Home. This film was 12 out of 10, okay? This film was by far the best Marvel movie that has dropped this year. And it might just be recency bias kicking in. This might be a top 3 Marvel movie. This might be a top 5 Marvel movie. Okay? Before I just do a quick run through. Daredevil! Yes! Listen, the amount of times my arms went up in the cinema and I let out a verbal cheer and started clapping. It was confirmed earlier this week or late last week by Kevin Feige that Charlie Cox will reprise his role as Daredevil in the MCU, but when and where he shows up, you'll just have to wait. And the wait was not long. Charlie Cox turns up. At first, you see a walking stick. As soon as I saw that walking stick, my hands went up. The camera then cuts to Charlie Cox sat there in his red glasses as a lawyer for Tom Holland, and it was listen, I didn't need anything. You don't see Daredevil fighting. He's not in any action. He doesn't run around with Spider-Man. You literally see him in one scene, and that's it, and that is all I needed. That was the only little tease I needed to see. Daredevil's here. He's played by Charlie Cox. For those that don't know, if you didn't watch Daredevil, the Netflix series, we now have Vincent D'Onofrio, who played Kingpin in Daredevil, in the MCU as Kingpin, and we now have Charlie Cox, who played Daredevil in the Netflix Daredevil, as Daredevil in the MCU. Who else is going to come over from the Netflix properties? No idea, but so far they've taken the best two. They have taken the best two actors to portray these roles. Fan-fucking-tastic. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They came back and it was so good. It was so good. It was nostalgic. It was great. I know I've said that Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man, then Tobey Maguire, and that Andrew Garfield, I didn't really care for his movies. Seeing Andrew Garfield, I felt like I was the only geek in there. Something happens. Ned's got the sling ring. To say Ned's got a sling ring, you're thinking to yourself, why the fuck has Ned got one of them? The movie's just great, okay? He's like, I need to find Peter Parker. You see Spider-Man walking down an alleyway. He turns around, and then as he starts walking, I was like, that's not the Spider-Man suit. I was like, that's the amazing Spider-Man suit. It's Andrew Garfield. It's Andrew Garfield. I put my hands up, and everyone started looking at me. And then you heard his voice, and I was like, it's Andrew Garfield. And then when he took his mask off, the whole cinema just erupted. And then they do it again, and the sling ring opens, and then who steps in some casual clothes? Tobey Maguire, the OG Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man. It was so good. There's two throwbacks. There's two little scenes when Tobey Maguire shoots the web out of his wrist, and they're like, how do you do that? And then later on, right before the big battle comes at the end, they then bring it up again. They're like, how do you? And Tobey Maguire's like, I don't make it. It just does. It's like, you know how you breathe. You don't breathe. You just breathe. Well, my body just webs. Okay, it just webs. It's so good. And then there's a funny little bit where Tobey Maguire talks about fighting an alien when he's on about Venom, and then Tom Holland's on about how he fought an alien in space, and then Andrew Garfield's like, yeah, I'm the whack one out of you three, which I'm taking a play on the actual Spider-Man movies. Like, Andrew Garfield, it's a shit thing to know, but to know that you're the worst Spider-Man, at least they played on that. But I want to do a run through of the movie. So the movie picks up pretty much from where No Way Home? Far From Home? No Way Home's what just came out. So Far From Home was the last one, and then Homecoming was the first one. Right, so Far From Home ended with the billboard revealing who Peter Parker is. That's exactly where it picks up in this movie. First 5-10 minutes or not is just Peter Parker and his family navigating through life now as everyone knowing him as Peter Parker. Because of this, he comes out, he gets cleared of all charges of killing Mysterio. But again, these things happen, conspiracy theories. It seems like a pretty much split in the movie, and it gets referenced throughout different points of it as half the people believe Spider-Man didn't kill Mysterio. The other half believe Mysterio was right and that Spider-Man did kill him. How it can't just be simply proven that, look, I gave him the glasses, he tricked me, I got them back. I don't know why that can't just be explained, but again, it's a conspiracy. Not everyone's going to believe you. So that made perfect sense. He then gets the idea to go to Doctor Strange, which you see in the trailers. He goes to Doctor Strange to make everyone forget about him. But then as Doctor Strange conducts the spell, he's like, oh no, what about MJ? Oh no, Happy. Oh no, Aunt May. Oh no, Happy. Ned. Basically messing up the whole spell, to which then Doctor Strange gets pissed off because instead of ringing MIT or trying to plead with someone at MIT to get a second chance, he went straight to Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange's like, I can't believe you did that. Tom Holland then goes to find the woman who can help him get into MIT. That's the black woman in the black SUV truck thing that we see in the trailers. That's when Dr. Octopus comes. They have a great little fight at the start. Then Green Goblin turns up. And then people just disappear. Okay, they vanish because Doctor Strange comes to the help. It then turns out that Doctor Strange's spell was messed up by Peter. So instead of everyone in their universe forgetting who Peter Parker was, everyone in other universes who knows who Peter Parker is ends up pulling into this one. Doc Ock knows who Peter Parker is. Doc Ock knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Green Goblin knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Electro, Sandman, the Lizard. Obviously, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker and Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker. There was a few other people that probably could have come across that didn't. MJ from Mary Jane from the original one, Kirsten Dunst, she knew who he was. She could have come across. Actually, they wouldn't have known he was Peter Parker. I was going to say the people on the train in Spider-Man 2, but they wouldn't have known. Harry Osborn would have been cool for Harry Osborn to maybe show his face. Again, he didn't. So yeah, and then this is probably where the movie begins. So Doctor Strange says basically, look, all these guys are coming. I need you to go and catch them so we can send them all back on suing. Spider-Man does a great job at catching them all, only to find out that they all died fighting Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like, if we send them back, they're going to die. There's got to be a way we can help them. Such a fun fight. It's not really a fight because no one's really hurting anyone, but such a fun little action sequence between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man then happens in the Mirrorverse. Spider-Man realizes that it's just simple geometry and somehow tangles Doctor Strange up and gets out, trapping Doctor Strange in this Mirrorverse. Takes this box. Peter then, bless him, being the naive child he is, he believes that he can fix them. Technically, sort of true, because he does work on trying to fix them. But as he's working on trying to fix them, Green Goblin, remember he's mad. They're all bad guys. However, they're all portrayed as good to start with. Green Goblin, the mad half of Green Goblin comes out. It's no longer Norman Osborn, so Green Goblin's taken over. Spider-Man webs him, but then Electro then turns. Sandman then turns. Lizard then turns against him. There's a dope scene. The fight scene between Green Goblin / Lizard and Spider-Man, such a good scene. And then, it happened. You saw it in the doc, you saw it in the advert, you saw it in the trailer, and I should have guessed in the trailer that it was going to be this way. You see MJ fall off a building, is MJ gonna die? You see Ned hanging off the pipe, is Ned gonna die? You see Happy sitting in a truck with lasers pointed at him just as Sandman and all that are going off as well. Is Happy gonna die? Who don't you see in peril at any point during this thing? Aunt May. Oh, the bittersweet of Tobey Maguire's Green Goblin, who died with a glider, using his glider to take out Aunt May. Oh my god. And then he throws a goblin grenade. Peter knocks it away. Picks up Aunt May. They go to walk off. Aunt May collapses. Peter pulls his hand from behind her back and notices that there's blood everywhere. And then Aunt May dies in Peter Parker's arms. Fuck me, this movie. This is the first half of the movie, I believe. She dies in his arms. No, it's probably the second half of the movie, yeah. But she dies in his arms. Happy looks through the window. He sees what happens. The DODC turn up. They shoot at Peter. That one bullet actually hits him in his arm. Happy screams at Peter to run. Oh my god. And then this is when, because at this point, Peter's given the box and the sling ring to MJ and Ned to look after. Ned tries to use the sling ring to find Peter Parker. That's when he finds Andrew Garfield, Toby. It's a cute little scene when they meet each other. They then have to go and find Peter Parker. They then talk to him about all the losses they had, because Peter's like, don't tell me you understand. Tobey Maguire's like, my Uncle Ben died, it was my fault. Andrew Garfield's like, my Gwen Stacy, she was my MJ, she died and I couldn't save her. They both talk about how they used the pain to go around and it never made them feel any better, and they don't want the same thing to happen to this Tom Holland Spider-Man. They come together, they all work together on a cure for each of them, and then we go into our final battle, which was a great battle. The first half of the battle is the Spider-Mans all fighting and not doing well, realizing they don't know how to fight as a team. Where then, again, another great bit where Tom Holland's like, I was in the Avengers. And Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's like, oh my god, that's great. What's the Avengers? Are you in a band? It's just, this movie, like Marvel, sometimes, like Marvel do they do comedy well, but sometimes they put comedy in the places where there's no comedy needed whatsoever. Spider-Man did it perfectly. The scene from when MJ is dying to the next 10 minutes or so of them meeting up with Tom Holland, the comedy is bang on. There is no comedy when Tom Holland is on screen during this bit. When Aunt May dies, there's no comedy. When he runs away, there's no comedy. When MJ and Ned are thinking about him, there's no comedy. The comedy comes from Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, because they don't know what's going on, but all they know is he needs their help, because they can feel it. Once they meet up with him, there's no comedy. The only comedy comes until they're working on the cure. And I just thought, I was like, you know what, Marvel, you've done it right this time. You've executed the perfect balance of telling a sad story and then leaving and throwing comedy in elsewhere. I think they did great. Final battle comes. They work out that they can't do it individually. They can't do it one by one. They're like, oh, we have to team up and take them out together. So it's like, no, the first person is Lizard. No. Was it Lizard or was it Sandman? It was Lizard or Sandman was the first, but I think it was Sandman was the first person. Boom, got him. Then Lizard, boom, got him. And then it becomes Green Goblin and Doc Ock. And then Doc Ock comes back and grabs the two Spider-Men. You're thinking, fucking hell, Doc Ock's turned on them. And then he ends up turning on the Green Goblin. And then another great fight scene between Peter Parker and the Green Goblin. Tom Holland's Peter Parker, where Tom Holland is just beating the living shit out of the Green Goblin. He then picks up the glider, ready to crash it into him. Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, stops him. Grabs it in front of him and stops him. As soon as Tobey Maguire did that, I was like, it's that movie trope. It's the movie trope where the bad guy's down, a good guy stops another good guy from killing that bad guy, and then that bad guy is going to kill the good guy that stopped him, which was very close. Peter Parker stops, Tobey Maguire stops Tom Holland, he puts it down, and then all you hear is, shink! Tobey Maguire gets stabbed right in his back by Green Goblin, and then he falls to the floor. As he does that, Andrew Garfield throws Tom Holland the thing, he injects it into his neck, he cures him, and then it goes back to, what is Norman Osmond? So now we're back to Norman Osmond. It's him. It's his normal self, and he looks around and he's like, oh God, what have I done? All the monsters have been healed. Electro was dope as well. They made Electro so good in this compared to the first one. And again, at the start of the movie, he is blue. He is blue like he is in the other one, but he absorbs all the energy and he gets that fresh fade that Jamie Foxx always had. He hasn't got the weird mustache or the comb over or the lisp. He's got a bit more confidence. It was just such a good movie. And then the bit you see in the end, because Doctor Strange went again with the bit as well. Doctor Strange, when he goes to send them all home, Green Goblin has thrown a grenade in there. It blows everything up. Doctor Strange is trying to maintain the spell. In order to fix the world, Peter Parker says to Doctor Strange, what about if everyone forgets who I am? Will that work? He was like, yes, that will work, because then they won't be coming here to try and find you. But it does mean everyone will forget who Peter Parker is. So not only will they forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, it's not that they will forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Everyone will forget who Peter Parker is completely. He runs down to say bye to the two Spider-Men, because they're going to get sent back. He runs down to Ned and MJ, and he's like, look, you guys are never going to remember me after this. It's the only way that I can fix it, but I will come and find you guys. It's such a sweetness between him and MJ. They tell each other they love each other. They give each other a kiss. He swims off. And then it ends. And at the end of the film, Tom Holland walks into a coffee shop. Zendaya turns around and she's got a look on her face as if to say, and for a split second, I was like, oh, Doctor Strange made everyone forget but MJ. And then MJ lifts up her hand to wave. And you're like, yeah, she remembers. And the camera pans and Ned walks in behind him and she's waving at Ned. They both got into MIT. Peter's plan worked. He got them both into MIT. Everyone forgot who Peter Parker is, and Day and Ned have no idea who Peter Parker is. It is a sad moment, but it's also a happy moment as well. Like, he fixed the world, he saved his friends, they've got into the college they wanted to get into. Unfortunately, no one knows who Peter is. Again, he then goes to Aunt May's grave. Happy turns up to Aunt May's grave. And he's like, how did you know her? And he's like, oh, through Spider-Man. What about you? Same. And it's just, it's such a heartbreaking moment. And then it ends. Oh, what a movie. What a fucking great movie. You know what the worst thing about this movie was? The first end credit. The first end credit was a play from what happened in the end of Venom 2. So you see Tom Hardy sat at a bar and he's talking to someone. He's basically right. So there was a man flying around in a tin suit that saved everyone. And there was a purple alien who was obsessed with stones that wanted to end half of life. They're talking about all this, but then as Doctor Strange's spell's working, Venom disappears back to his universe as well. Now, my thing is, Venom entering the MCU at the end of Venom 2 doesn't make sense, because the reason everyone came over was because of Doctor Strange's spell, which was everyone that knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man is coming over. In the Venomverse, there's no such thing as Spider-Man, so why Venom came over, who knows? But when Doctor Strange's spell happens and they all get sent back to their own time, Venom and Tom Hardy get sent back to their own time as well, screaming no. But then the camera cuts to the bar and there is a tiny bit of black symbiote left over that starts moving. So there is a Venom symbiote that has been left over, which to me, I'm now saying, if it's true that we've had those other three, we've got another 3 Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, I'm going to say that first one, or the 4th Spider-Man, will be Tom Holland coming into contact with that Venom symbiote, which will then give the Venom symbiote the spider logo, or give him the swing. And then from there, I feel like it will attach to Flash. And then we'll have Flash as Venom. And then maybe the hatred that he had for Peter Parker, and then finding that Peter Parker was his idol Spider-Man, and now he has his own thing, that will then lead them to butt heads. And we have finally the Venom we deserve versus the Spider-Man we deserve. Fingers crossed. And there's 2 post-credits. The final post-credit scene is not even a post-credit scene. It's a whole fucking trailer. Okay? It was a whole movie trailer for Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. It starts with what seems to be a little scene from it, and then shit happens, and then so much went by. I don't even know how to explain what was happening. You see Wanda in it, you see Doctor Strange in it, you see Wu in it, you see Mordo from the very first one, the black guy, he's in it. Doctor Strange, it appears that Wanda's not a villain in this, or it doesn't seem she's a villain so far, because Doctor Strange says that he needs her help with someone. Again, him casting that spell in Spider-Man has basically set up what's happening in the Multiverse of Madness. But it wasn't a post-credit, so it wasn't just like a scene from another movie, it wasn't like a hint or something, it was a full fucking trailer for Multiverse of Madness 2, and it was everything that I needed. 2022, if you're a Marvel fan, 2021 was amazing, okay? 2021 was amazing. We got Black Widow, which was meh, but we got Shang-Chi, which was amazing. We got Eternals, which, the more and more I think about Eternals, the more meh I want to give it, as opposed to being an amazing Marvel movie. But then Spider-Man No Way Home has just... And the title, we all thought No Way Home was Spider-Man being lost somewhere, but it wasn't. It was other people having no way home. Great. We got Loki, we got WandaVision, we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we've got Hawkeye, we got What If. What a fucking year for Marvel it has been. And then you've got the Marvel 2022 releases, which include... Hold on, let me get the list up. Spider-Man. So you've got Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness in May. We've then got Thor Love and Thunder in July. And then we've got Black Panther Wakanda Forever November the 11th. They're the movies. Is it going to bring me... where are the TV shows? In terms of TV shows, we've got Moon Knight. That's dropping. She-Hulk. That's dropping next year. Miss Marvel, which will follow Kamala Khan, I believe. So if you've played the Avengers game on PlayStation or Xbox, actually I think it's available on both. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, that's her. The woman that's inspired by Captain Marvel, she's got it. Secret Invasion, I don't know if that's coming out next year or not. Echo, Agatha House of Harkness. There's just so much, and that's just Marvel. There's Star Wars Book of Boba Fett that comes out at the end of this year. You've got... I don't know if I'm looking forward to it. Harry Potter and the Fantastic Beasts next year. The Batman movie, which looks fucking amazing. That's next year as well. Oh, there is so much. It's been a while since I've done a podcast over an hour long, but There you go. Thank you guys if you stayed this far. Thank you so much for staying this far. And I'm just going to assume that either one, you don't care about Spider-Man, you just want to know what happened, or two, you were like me and you were too eager and you've already watched it before watching this podcast. Either way, again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back next week. Might be the last week. Might be the last show of the year. We'll see what happens. Until the next time, I've been Miles. You've been listening. Peace.